Welcome to Something More to Podcast, where we move through topics wherever the conversation takes us. I'm your host, Richard Collins.
And I'm Adam Culbertson. At the time we're recording this, WoW Classic is starting. It's the day it starts. So we have friends that want to play WoW Classic or that are going to.
When I was actually on my way over here, my roommate had downloaded it and was just awaiting the timer, basically.
Yeah. In a way, I want to play it, but also at the same time, I don't.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of nostalgia there. There's a lot of memories of actually playing during that time, and there were some good times. I mean, you know, we could probably go on and on just about stories of playing WoW.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we do it.
It's true. Yeah.
We're at D&D. WoW gets brought up. We end up talking about something about WoW. Mm-hmm. From Vanilla or Burning Crusade was like the really big days that I was into it. Now on Reddit, people are talking about how they wish that it wasn't Classic WoW and that they did a Burning Crusade Classic instead.
Well, I kind of feel like it's almost inevitable that they're going to progress WoW Classic as long as it's popular.
Yeah. And it being like one of the things is that if it is popular, they're probably going to progress it into Burning Crusade and it be like an alternate timeline and doing things different, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see whatever they end up doing. But I feel like, especially when you look at Vanilla and Burning Crusade, they had a very, very similar design aspect. Like that same design aspect kind of carried its way all the way through BC and to an extent into Wrath.
Yeah.
And you know, it wasn't too long after that. Like, I think I forget if it was like toward the end of Wrath or if it was actually in Mists of Pandaria, but I know some of the friends that I know that still played were telling me about the changes, and that's kind of where it took a really wild left turn on their design, and I was like, yeah, I'm good that I quit. I think I'm happy that.
And that was Cataclysm?
No, I think it was Mists of Pandaria.
Oh, Mist. Okay.
I think it was Mist that was after Wrath. Yeah.
No, it was Cataclysm and then Mist.
Was it Cataclysm? And Mist?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. But
whichever it was, like whatever was after Wrath, I think was when they kind of took that crazy left turn, took out all the talent trees, like decided you don't need talent trees. Yeah. You just need to make a simple decision between two different things every few levels.
Yeah, because I was playing on I was kind of playing Wrath a little bit in its later stages, right before Cataclysm came out, and but then I started playing on a private server and actually got more into it and went into Cataclysm with that private server and stopped playing on the official servers.
Like, I mean,
and it was the talent system was weird.
Like, I was incredibly disappointed to hear that they got rid of talent trees.
Yeah, that's what made me not want to go back.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, like, I like that kind of system. And granted, like, playing Final Fantasy 14 now, there's no talent trees at all.
No,
like there's no choice difference from one character on this job to another character on the same job. Like, the only difference in Final Fantasy 14 is whatever gear you have, and then your skill at that job.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of MMOs that I can think of that still have a talent tree like World of Warcraft.
I'm not sure how similar it is, but I know that to some extent ESO has some kind of an actual like build system.
Okay.
Like an actual talent, like, you know, invested points and kind of system.
Yeah, DC Universe Online also has a where you can get different abilities by spending your skill points, but you have unlimited skill points basically to like every achievement that you do, you get points towards skill points. Every 100 points you get another skill point. So you can eventually have all the abilities, but you only have so many abilities that you could put on your bars. Kind of like Guild Wars 2 in a way.
Yeah. Okay.
Which that has a skill, like a skill tree too.
Yeah. And, I guess when it really comes down to it, I do kind of miss that old system. Like, because, one character to the next, like, you and one other person could be playing rogue, and you could be playing rogues completely differently.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, just because you're both rogues doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Yeah. And in vanilla WoW, I mostly played hunter, and I went high survival build, and I mainly for PvP. I really enjoyed world PvP and the instance PvP as well.
Right.
But the amount of damage that I got from survival skills transferred over to my ranged abilities, and it actually helped out a lot in the PvE raid content. I wasn't running a build like anybody else was, but I was still viable. And I missed that, having that choice, really.
Right. Like having that choice, having that flexibility, having that one sense of like uniqueness. Like even if you were running things mostly the same way everybody else was, like maybe you had those like 5 points that you put in differently to do something a little different.
Yeah, I just have some different I just had some different abilities to where, like, if something came close to me, I could just bust out some melee moves and get a huge burst of damage.
And especially because it was largely like getting to the last ability in one of the trees, and then how you spent all those extra points beyond that.
Yeah,
was like really where your customization came in.
Yeah, and because of that, it makes me want to play WoW Classic.
But think about it this way. Borderlands actually has a really similar talent tree system.
It does. Yes, it does.
And it just so happens that Borderlands 3 is due out pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I refuse to pre-order games, so I still haven't I haven't bought it, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna buy it yet. I'm pretty sure I will.
I already know that I'm gonna buy it.
I do want to see like reviews on it. I want to hear what you think about it. Anybody else that's gonna play it in our group.
Well, if any previous Borderlands games are any indication, even if you're an entire playthrough behind, it's not like people are going to be like, well, I'm done with this game.
Yeah. No, I've played all 3 Borderlands games. I haven't played the Telltale games or anything like that, but I've played the main titles, Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and the pre-sequel. I've played all the way through.
Yeah.
I think I was on my second playthrough when I stopped playing the pre-sequel. But I don't know.
But yeah, like definitely not the kind of game that usually you just be like, well, I played through it once, so I'm never going to play this again.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a game that's easy to pick back up and play through again.
Absolutely.
And it's not extremely hard to do like the in-game stuff.
No, it's not. It's not incredibly difficult, no.
Like you just got to get people together. And there's so many people out, even if you join up with random people, so many people have freaking duped guns and everything.
So true.
Like you have, even if they're not good, their guns are doing so much damage that it doesn't matter.
And at this point, I don't know if it'd feel right if they got rid of duping weapons.
Yeah, that's a huge part.
it's been around like since the beginning.
Yeah, it's a huge part of Borderlands. It's basically accepted. So I don't have a problem with it.
But yeah, so I mean, I think ultimately what it comes down to for me is that I'm kind of nostalgic for WoW. Like it's kind of cool and all, but especially with other games that I'm interested in, like right on the horizon, I don't know that I really want to put that kind of investment in, because it is a large investment.
It really is.
Especially if everything is like, exact 1-to-1 like what it was back then.
And that's the thing. It is like they even left in, like we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago with our friend Joe. like they're leaving in all the bugs. Like they're wanting it to be the exact same experience by leaving in all the bugs and everything that made its uniqueness.
Getting to level 60 is going to take a long time.
Yeah. It's not like you can just... I mean, Final Fantasy XIV takes a lot of time.
It does take a lot of time.
But it's mostly doing content quest, where World of Warcraft, you got quest, you got a bunch of side quests, but you still spend a lot of time just grinding.
Like, I would say in Final Fantasy, usually it takes a long time on your first character because you're going through story, you're watching these cutscenes, you're reading through everything, and that's really what takes so long.
Yeah.
But then when you start getting, and granted you have an XP bonus on your second and third and fourth characters,
yeah.
But when you're going through those characters, when all you're doing is just focusing on leveling, it can actually go really quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is very fast.
And granted, like, original, like, 1.0 Final Fantasy 14, it was a real slog grind, much like classic WoW was.
Yeah, if not worse. I think it was worse.
If not worse.
Like, I leveled Black Mage to 50, and I was just like, I'm not leveling anything else. I was kind of leveling other things alongside it, and it was just taking so much time. I was just like, I'm going to do Black Mage, I'm going to focus on in-game content, and that's going to be it.
But yeah, so when it really comes down to it, I don't feel like I have the urge to sink that much time into it.
Yeah.
Like, it's nostalgic, that's cool and all, but that's just too much time investment for me.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm likely just going to drop it in like a few weeks.
Yeah. That's like DC Universe Online releasing on Switch. I'm enjoying it. I'm still enjoying it. It's a nice game to play, like on a handheld. Being able to just like lay in bed and play it before I go to sleep. But I'm finding myself more and more every day falling asleep faster playing it, to where I'm doing one quest and then I'm asleep.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I started playing it again. I mean, it's free to play to give it a shot, and then it has a monthly subscription to have access to all the content. But I was getting that nostalgia feel because I played it 5 years ago, and I was hardcore into in-game rating, and I quit the game with best in slot on every slot. So, but now I had so much fun playing it again, that nostalgia thing, and then I started getting into the raid content and stuff like that, and it's just the player base really isn't there to have quick queue times to make it really worth it. The raids are really long. Like they're not quick at all. So there's just so much trash in between each boss.
Yeah.
That it's just not. It's not for me anymore.
That's at least one thing that I like about what Final Fantasy XIV's done, is that for the vast majority of like content, especially like raid content, it is not a huge time investment just to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like for all of the 8-man raid content, there's basically no trash. It's all just you go in, here's a boss.
Yeah. And then it's just got the as you do it the first time, you have the cutscenes and the story behind it. So you get the story of what's going on, and then you fight the boss, and then you get story, fight boss.
Right.
So,
but like each one is its own individual fight.
Yeah.
Like you're not even having to necessarily do all of them at once. You can do one whenever you have the time.
Yeah, and you just spawn in, like you just spawn into the boss room and you're fighting.
Like even with like the Alliance Rage, which are a little more involved, like they basically alternate, like a trash pull, a boss, a trash pull, a boss.
Yeah, or like boss, mini boss, boss, mini boss.
Yeah, but I mean it's streamlined very well, and for most of them it doesn't even take that long to run through.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like 30 minutes to maybe 45 minutes for most of them.
Yeah.
So I mean they did a good job of giving you that content but not having it just be this complete slog to get through. Like granted, some people would probably point to like Praetorium and like the MSQ. but that admittedly is something that they learned from. They did it when they first did ARR, but they learned from that, and they have not done anything like that since.
Yes. I mean, for good reason.
Like now they kind of take similar ideas to that, but they break it up into different dungeons and raids.
Yeah. No, I love Final Fantasy 14, and I like the direction that they've gone with it. You can play it hardcore, you can play it casual, and you still feel like you've accomplished something every time you play, whether you've played for 30 minutes or you played for 4 hours.
Absolutely. And it's hard to even get burned out, because if you get tired of doing one thing, you just go do something completely different.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that it's not going to feel that way with World of Warcraft. Like, for me to, back whenever I as soon as I hit 60, I had to think about the level. As soon as I hit 60 in Vanilla WoW for the first time, I was part of a guild through the whole leveling process. I was part of a guild that carried over from Star Wars Galaxies, and we were a massive Imperial guild in Star Wars Galaxies. Like we were really good friends in real life as well, and a lot of us lived in the Southeast, and we'd travel everything. Hell, I even went down to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, to hang out with some of these guys, and up in Tennessee and everything. And like we would raid rebel cities and all that kind of stuff. But back to WoW, we didn't have that presence in WoW. Like, a lot of people still played Star Wars Galaxies. They were hanging on to it, hopefully getting better, which it just went downhill just constantly.
Yeah.
And everybody that hit 60 first, that wanted to do in-game content, left the guild, joined the number one guild on the server. So I ended up kind of doing the same thing, but I went to the number 2 guild that was constantly competing with the number 1 guild. They were a little bit less elitist. They were more laid back, but still got shit done.
Right.
But we're always competing with boss clears and trying to do it first.
Yeah.
Or faster. And then, but like, for me to get to 60, I spent so much time. Like, I'd work an 8-hour day, and then I'd come home, play for 8 hours before going to sleep.
Oh yeah. I mean, it took an insane amount of time just to get to 60 in that game.
Yeah. Helping farm for mats for doing bosses, to be able to make like a cloak, or to make sets of armor with fire resistance.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
so time consuming.
It's incredibly time consuming. And then once you even get to 60, like, it doesn't just stop there. I mean, it was a real grind to get the gear to even start raiding once you hit 60.
Yeah. And it was totally just luck. There wasn't like a piece of loot for everybody in the party, which is still the case in a lot of games like Final Fantasy.
Well, I mean, and that's true, but at the same time, like, there are usually other outlets in 14 to be able to get gear, even if you can't get that one drop.
Yeah, you got tomestones, which they did end up adding that in Wrath. They added by the end of Wrath, they added a currency system to be able to buy armor. Right,
and it's not to say that everything that they ended up changing in WoW was necessarily bad.
Yeah,
there were definitely some very good changes that came about in WoW later on, but I mean, it's like when you look at like plain vanilla WoW, leveling and gearing were very long processes.
Yeah. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I ran the level 60 dungeons just to get a full set of the 0.0 gear, or what was it, 0.0, or it wasn't even
the
0.5.
tier 0.
Yeah, tier 0. Just to get the tier 0 gear to be able to do Onyxia and Molten Core.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah, before tier 0.5 came out.
Yeah.
Because they didn't come out with that until later.
That was Burning Crusade, wasn't it, when 0.5 came out?
No, tier 0.5 came out before Burning Crusade.
Well, did it? Okay.
No,
I was already past it, so I didn't even work on it.
I think tier 0.5 they put
That's
out.
Right. Yes.
I think it might have been before Encourage actually came out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was rocking tier 2 whenever it came out.
But it was after. Yeah, it was after BWL.
Yeah. Like I had full tier 2 by the time it come out, because I had ended up the number 2 guild dropped, and I joined the number 1 guild because I had the gear to be able to, and they were looking for a hunter. So I had buddies that were in the guild, so they got me in.
But yeah, like, so when it all comes down to it, it's not that I do hate or ever really hated Classic WoW.
Yeah.
But I just don't have time for that.
No.
Especially not just for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah. Like you said, I feel like I'd download it and then play it for a few weeks, maybe. Like I don't have the desire to sit down and play something for 8 hours a day like I used to be able to like keep up with other people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I play everything casually now.
And I mean, it's not even just that the Borderlands is coming up, because the same day that Borderlands comes out, Demon Ex Machina comes out on Switch.
Yeah.
And I'm like super interested in that game too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a new Armored Core game. And I'm totally on board for that.
Yeah. I'm trying to put more time into Final Fantasy right now.
I mean, it's just, there's so much good on the horizon with gaming right now that I just don't really feel a need to invest in WoW again.
Yeah. See, my biggest thing that I'm waiting on, which it's not going to be till next year. I think it's March next year, Cyberpunk 2077. I love Cyberpunk.
Was it March or May?
Yeah, see, I thought it was in the first quarter, but I may be wrong. But they've also, like, they change dates for games all the time.
That's very true.
Like, me personally, I couldn't get into Witcher. I know it's a great game. I didn't finish it. I didn't even get past the beginning, really. But I was playing so many games at the time, and I was streaming and everything on Twitch. And I wanted to stream something else that was more active and less cutscenes.
Oh, we totally split the difference on Cyberpunk.
Oh, April
16th.
Okay. I knew it was around first quarter,
like right smack in the middle of April.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like really the only big title that's coming up that I absolutely feel like I want to play.
I don't know if that's the case for me, because I mean, obviously there's the ones already mentioned. You got Death Stranding that's coming up actually pretty soon.
Yeah, relatively. Everything I see on it, I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, but that's why I want to play it so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I have to know.
Like the trailers just confuse the shit out of me whenever they release like screenshots on Twitter and Reddit and everything. Like, I'm just like, I mean, that's cool. It looks really cool. But like, what the fuck am I looking at?
I just need to know. They've got so many names involved in it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. So that's definitely big stuff coming up, and I just don't really feel a need for WoW. I think I'm past that.
Yeah. That's like, I love Star Wars Galaxies. If they re-release Star Wars Galaxies at its base level, I would love to play it, but that required more time than World of Warcraft did whenever it first came out.
Freaking Fallen Jedi is also coming up this year.
Yeah. See, I'm torn on EA.
See,
as well.
Like, everything I've seen about that game, it looks like it's going to be the same vein as like Force Unleashed or KOTOR or something like that.
Yeah, see, I love Force Unleashed. Oh, I love KOTOR too, but Force Unleashed was, man, I can't even. I probably replayed both of those games 10 to 20 times. I don't know. It was somewhere in between there.
I don't know. I've got high hopes for it.
Yeah, like I platinum both of those games. Well, it was on the 360, so right. It was whatever.
It was just, well, they don't really have.
I 100%ed it.
They just have, you get all of the gamer points. They don't really have a collective award for it.
Yeah, I think Xbox. It's just 100%. Yeah. Like, you just 100% it. But I've also been out of the whole Xbox thing since 2006.
Wow. That is wow. I've never had an Xbox.
Or no, 2009. That's 2009. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had an Xbox.
Man, it's been 10 years since I haven't played an Xbox.
I don't really have a plan to get an Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, I only really foresee myself, like, sticking with Sony and Nintendo when it comes to gaming.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
And besides, anything that you want to play on Xbox is going to be on computer too these days.
Yeah, yeah. Even Halo. Like, you can play it on PC.
So, I mean, I just don't see any need whatsoever to get an Xbox anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like 360 days. Yeah, you had to get it to play Halo and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what my friends that I hung out with at the time, they all played on Xbox.
It's like way back when. It's how you would have a Nintendo and you'd have a friend who had a Sega.
Yeah, yeah. See, I was a Sega Sega CD.
You were the
Sega
Sega, so you had the friend that had the Nintendo.
Yes,
yeah. I mean, but that's the way that it worked.
Yep.
You would get one and you'd have a friend with the other.
Yep. Because I played the hell out of Super Nintendo, but I never owned one.
But you didn't have to.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I never owned a Sega console.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I didn't play them.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man, I miss the Sega days. Like just that just how simple it was and just how much time I put into it. Now, like, everything, I overthink everything. Like, everything is just, if you're stuck, you just look it up and then you beat it really easy.
Yeah, no, like there was hardly any kind of looking up. Like, that's what, back when you had like the phone in helplines.
Yes.
Like, if you're stuck, you could call, like, you could basically make like a charged call to like ask for help.
Oh yeah. Oh man, Tips and Tricks was my magazine.
Or like in like Nintendo Power, sometimes they would have like guides or special sections or something.
Yeah.
Or like all of the schoolyard rumors.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All the Pokemon stuff.
Oh,
I'd always go to Piggly Wiggly and get a Tips and Tricks magazine every month.
Because there was no way to get that information otherwise.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
The internet as we know it didn't exist.
Yep. You go to a bookstore and there's you find the Holy Grail, and you'd find this one book that has Sega Genesis tips and secrets book. Mm-hmm. You'd buy it, and then like half the shit wasn't even real. Like, if you I mean, most of the stuff was pretty cool, but a lot of it was like, these are kind of dumb. Like, a lot of little secrets and stuff were kind of dumb, but
yeah,
it was just Easter eggs. A lot of that stuff was just Easter eggs, and it didn't really like give you any. Some of them had cheat codes and
but
stuff.
what it gave you was cred.
Yes,
like you could go to all your friends and be like, "Oh man, check this out."
Yeah,
like go through the level, like show them the secret or whatever. Like, "Oh man, that's so cool."
Yeah, but doesn't mean I'll go back and play them.
No. Although that being said, I do have a retro console.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's nice every now and then, just for that kick of nostalgia, without having to spend 60 to 100 hours just to actually get involved in the game.
Yeah, and with World of Warcraft with WoW Classic, you have to pay $15 a month.
Yeah,
to have that nostalgia feel. So I'm not sold.
No,
like just like with old school games, like we could reminisce about fucking Contra and fucking Sonic and all that kind of shit. But then when it comes down to it, I'd probably play them for like 15-20 minutes and then I'm done. Just like I got the Sonic game on Switch, and I play it every now and then.
Now, admittedly, like I did a couple of years ago, break out my old Super NES and play all the way through like Mario World and play all the way through like Link to the Past, and
RPGs are a little different too. Yeah, RPGs are pretty awesome to replay.
But yeah, I mean, so I mean, at least to some extent, these are games that you can still, with a relatively minor investment, actually get through.
Yeah, and there's no microtransactions.
No microtransactions,
and it's a complete game, and you paid for it once.
Yeah, exactly. Paid for it once, and I can still go back and play it whenever I want. Like, I don't even have to worry about them taking it off the online store.
Yeah. Oh man. Or drop support on the new console.
Right. I tell you, like there's definitely something to be said for the old days of video games.
Yeah. It's just not the same. So but like tabletop gaming is a completely different topic. I know,
completely different topic. But at the same time, you know, it's also a whole different beast. I mean, tabletop gaming is only ever going to be what you want it to be.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving, and like, yeah, rules change.
But there's nothing saying you have to adhere to those rules.
Yeah.
There's nothing saying you have to change to the new version of D&D. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean,
I'm just looking at the stuff on the table right in front of us. So it made me think about it.
But I mean, there's nothing tying you down to a particular version. You don't have to update when they update.
You don't have to buy expansion books or anything like that. You can make it all up.
And it's not like any of the books that you've already bought are ever going to be useless.
Yeah. And the great thing about that is, like, there's so many people doing podcasts and stuff for D&D. There's so many, like, you get to hear so many ideas that people have come up with, reading on Reddit and stuff. I feel like that is the best kind of gaming to me that has evolved in the best way.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you know, honestly, there's not really a way that they can corporatize that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're ever going to be able to make a gaming system where they're just like, okay, well, you have to pay us a subscription.
Yeah.
Like, no, screw you. We're just going to play.
Yeah. and just the gaming industry, like video gaming industry, is just, it's killing me. Like, like, I don't even want to buy an EA game anymore. I don't want to buy an Activision game anymore. And it just feels like there's just more and more companies. Hell, I don't even really want to support Blizzard anymore because of the whole Blizzard Activision and them tax evading and stuff. Like, there's too much thought put into what gaming is now that it's, I hate it almost. But I love it at the same time because it's one of my favorite hobbies. Something
that I think needs to be noted, at least here, is that at a certain point, you also end up punishing other companies aside from the one that you're trying not to support.
Yeah.
Because while they may actually be under the umbrella of like Blizzard or Activision, like there are entire studios that have nothing to do with any of those decisions.
Yeah.
That still rely on people buying their games.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like with EA. There are still actually some people, like some sections of the whole huge EA grouping that actually do still put out quality.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Need for Speed game that came out a few years ago, like it was actually pretty masterfully done. And it's not like they were even asking you to hand over money constantly.
No, they weren't.
Like they actually gave free updates.
Yeah. But it seems like that's gotten worse since then.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's going to hold true for everything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, every now and then, even EA puts out something that's not a complete money grab.
True. I'm hoping this new Star Wars game is away from that, because I would hate to wear, because I mean, the biggest part of replayability for me with The Force Unleashed was running it over and over and finding all the crystals so I could have all the different colors of lightsaber to get my 100% achievement on it, and just changing up the lightsabers and having the glowy ones with all the different effects and stuff like that. Like that was the replayability for me. I like figured out the fastest way to do everything because of that.
And I think at least some companies are starting to pick up on that. It's something that Sony has been very aware of for a long time now in games.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have all this DLC and extra content and put out more and like, you know, microtransactions. That like, you don't need all of that for people to enjoy a game.
Yeah.
Like you can just put out a solid single player experience and people will clamor for that game like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you look in recent years with like, Spider-Man. Granted, Spider-Man had DLC, but they were very upfront about this is what you're going to get in the DLC.
And you get a lot of content.
And even if you decide not to get the DLC, it's a complete game without it.
Yes,
you don't feel like you're lacking anything when you complete the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at God of War. God of War has no DLC whatsoever.
Yeah,
it is a complete single player experience from the box. From the box.
Yep.
Like everything that is involved in that game, you get when you buy the game.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying the whole gaming industry is bad.
Well, and I'm just saying, like, you're starting to see companies actually taking note from that.
Yeah.
So I feel like you are going to see like kind of a comeback of the single player experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part and parcel with that, you're going to start seeing more games that focus on that experience and don't focus on, well, what can we sell people? So that's all we'll have for this episode. So thanks for joining us, and hope you come back next time when we have something more to podcast.